Hello everybody out there, this is Seto Kaiba from your Yu-Gi-Oh chat channel, and I'm going to have a deck profile today for you guys of my XYZ Marauding Captain deck. Pretty much this is a Warrior Exceed deck that can make synchros and exceeds, and it does have some spellcaster monsters sprinkled in with it, but very few. They just make the deck a little bit more powerful. But this deck can spam level 3 and level 4 exceeds. It can also make level 6, 7, and 8 synchro monsters, especially level 8. That's the easiest one to make. But let's get started on the deck profile. I was asked to update this deck, have a deck list, and I really wanted to update it because it's been changed a lot since I originally profiled this deck back in March. So let's get started, shall we? 3 Marauding Captains. That's why it's called the Marauding Captain Exceed deck. Is because this is your main combo piece card. This can pretty much make any level exceed and pretty much any synchro out there. So he's very versatile. And also, if you had 2 Marauding Captains, you can make a Marauding Captain Lock. People remember that. But it's just, he can do so many different things, and he's so versatile in the deck. 2 Trident Warrior. He's one of your other versatile cards in the deck. He's an 18 beat stick, which is good. But Trident Warrior can special summon a level 3 monster, Feedback Warrior, Shining Knight. There's just so many different plays he can do too. Goblinberg, he can make your quick level 8 synchros. He can make quick level 4 exceeds. He just can do a whole bunch of different things. People have suggested run Tinplate Goldfish. Well, if I ran Tinplate Goldfish, if this is a warrior deck, that's not going to synergize. That's not going to work because that means I can't use Warrior Returning Alive. I can't use Rhoda to search him out to make a level 8 synchro and exceed. So it doesn't work for me. 2 Zubaba Knights. If they get a better generic level 3 warrior, I'll probably replace him with that. But for right now, I'm going to use this guy. His effect is not bad, but he's usually in there for exceeds. And I wouldn't replace him with something else for like a spell or trap even, because you need a lot of monsters so you can XYZ and make synchros. 2 Feedback Warriors. This is for your exceed plays. Feedback Warrior is good. If I get Goblinberg, I can make a level 3 exceed. If I get Marauding Captain level 3, Trident Warrior level 3, he just makes level 3s very easy. Exceeds, excuse me. So 2 Shiny Knight. He can be used as a defender. He can be, because he's got 19 defense. He can also be used for making level 3 synchros and level 4 synchros. Exceeds. Level 3 and level 4 exceeds. A little tired, guys. Have to forgive me here. But yeah, he works very well. 2 Spy. I added this card, and this card creates one particular card in general. It creates Shockmaster, a Shock Lock play. If I get Spy first turn, I can create Shockmaster, most likely. So you may ask yourself, well, why on 2? Perhaps you get both in hand. On a scale to 1 to 10, since I've played Spy for about 3, 4, 5 months, it's only happened one time out of like 25, 30 duels. It's never happened since. So if you get a Spy, you put it face down right away, and it's a good defender. She can create synchros. Say I just want to use 1 Spy as a defender, and I have another one special summon. Then I special summon a level 4 tuner and tune up for a level 8. So she can be used for exceeds and tuners, and she's a good defender too. Awesome. Love my Gravekeepers. 2 Rose Warrior Revenge. It's your main tuner of the deck. She can be searched out with Rhoda to make level 8 tuners, and her effect is not that bad either. Now you're going to want to ask me about why the heck am I running Injection Fairy Lily. A couple of reasons. Number one, the problem this deck has is monsters over 28, around over 3,000 are really hard to get over. That's been one of the problems with the deck. Injection Fairy Lily means that if I get this card in hand, I can run over a big monster with her effect. I know it's at the cost of 2,000 life points, but it's worth it most of the time. It's usually late in the game, and I've drained my opponent's resources, and this will help me win sometimes. She's even attacked and ended the game for me, and I've won the game just because I had attacked with 3,000 instead of something that was a little bit less. So she's won the games, and she's also good for exceeding plays too, so I can use her as an exceeding material. So she comes in handy. Blade Knight. The reason Blade Knight isn't here is because the problem this deck has sometimes is this deck will you're going to have, once you play with it, you'll notice that you only have 1 or 2, 3 cards in your hand at any point of the duel after your first turn, because you're making exceed and synchros and you're committing to the board. So if you draw into this card, it can help. You get a free 2,000 beat stick usually. And Kaiba used to use this card in the anime, but it pretty much reads as long as you have 1 card in your hand, you summon him, he becomes a 2,000 beat stick. He also can be used to make exceeds too. So he's got versatile uses, and he's very useful. 1 Mosh Mulan for stalling, because the deck does need a stall. This card's awesome. By revealing 1 warrior monster to keep him alive once per turn, if he destroys a monster by battle, he can attack again, and he's a 2,000 beat stick. His name is, I'll show you if I can, Cormir Magma Berserker. Just look up Berserker and you'll find this guy. He's an old card. Gagaga Magician, I recently added him in here. He can make level 3 and level 4 exceeds. You may wonder, well, what about tuning? Because you use tuning monsters and synchro plays. I've never had that problem with this card. Never wanted to do that. We always have other options. Breaker, it's one of your other spellcasters. It's your 3rd MST, so you can destroy back row, and he's a 19 beat stick with the counter, so that's not bad. Delta Flyer, run 1 Delta Flyer. You have to run 1. It can create level, Marauding Captain, make a level 7 Trident Warrior, make a level 8 Synchro. There's just so many plays this little guy can do. He's the only non-spellcaster or warrior in the entire deck. He's a dragon. Very versatile tuner monster for this deck. 2 MSTs, so we can destroy back row. I do not like my back row. 2 warrior returning alive. You may want to run 3, but I wouldn't run 3. 3 is too much. 2 is the perfect number. You get to reuse your broken plays and reuse your broken monsters. 1 swords for stalling purposes. You do need 1 swords. Pot of Avarice is part of your draw thing, so you can draw. So say I use a lot of exceeds or synchro monsters, I get to, this card's alive 90% of the time after turn 2. 1 Book of Moon, a staple card. Your trio, Monster Reborn, Heavy, Darkhole. Very good cards. And finally, 1 Rhoda. Traps. Traps are interesting. I'll talk about them. So you run Bottomless Trap Hole, 2 Compulsory Evacuation Devices. Very good card. That's your main traps right there. 1 Mirror Force. I run in this deck Magical Cylinders for fun. When I'm going into competitive play, more competitive play, I do switch up Magical Cylinders with my 2nd Mirror Force. But Magical Cylinders in this deck actually wins me more games than any other deck I've ever played, believe it or not. So that's why I run Magical Cylinders. If you have another Mirror Force, replace the Magical Cylinders with Mirror Force. Call the Haunted, bring back your Synchros, bring back your Exceeds, and it can help you make Exceeds and quick Synchros from the graveyard and stuff like that. Comes in handy. And finally, 1 Scrap Iron Scarecrow. I added this card. It's actually worked out well. It can prevent some of your monsters from being destroyed and getting your plays going. It's just really come in handy more than you think. Really a good card for this deck, actually. I'll go over the extra deck now. So we run Shockmaster, Utopia, 1 Geminite Pearl. So that's what we run right there. 1 Pappy, 1 Maestro. This is your main level 3 monster. You'll get out 2 Leviathan Dragons. Leviate. 1 Excalibur, Heroic Champion. 1 Chronomaly monster. This card has won me games before. I took it out for my other Wind-Up Zen Mines, excuse me. 1 Tempo. This card is really good in this deck. If your opponent gets a big Exceed out, you can get rid of the materials fairly easy with this card. 1 Zen Masters. These are my usual synchros. Scrap Dragon Archfiend, better than Black Rose because it's a big beat stick and you need that for the deck. 1 Gaia, First of Earth. What the synchro monsters do is they give you attack power to get over bigger stuff. Stardust and Scrap Dragon. Those are the main synchros we run. I'm just going to give you some other cards that you may want to think about. If you have these cards, you may want to play around with them. I still play around with them in the extra deck. Colossal Fighter because you're running mostly warriors. Red Dragon Archfiend doesn't actually, it's very good in this deck. It's a 3000 beater, so it can get over big stuff. Wind Up Zen Masters comes in handy, and the number 1 card that I suggest to you, if you run Dark Worlds, you may want to run this card, is Measuring the String Ninja. Daijin, excuse me, he's a Daijin monster. By detaching one piece, I think it is, he gets a 3,000 attack he becomes. Like 35 attack, something crazy. If you have gates on the field, if you run Dark Worlds, he's a 17 beat stick without the effect. And if you got the effect, he becomes more powerful for that turn to run over something that's really huge that Grapha can't get over. So he comes in handy. In this deck, he's actually very useful still, though. I may put him back into the deck later on in this extra deck. But that is my XYZ synchro deck. It's a very fun deck. It can be competitive. Because it's not graveyard oriented, and if you want to take Call the Haunted and Mirror Force out of the deck, maybe even the Warrior Returning to Lives if you didn't want to, it can run Soul Drain in the deck. It can run Defissure and Macro if that deck you're playing against is very effective. So you may want to think about running those cards in the sideboard. But it can run Soul Drain and run it well. So I just wanted to tell you that if you want to use this deck. But I hope you like this deck. This is a fun deck to play. It's not a super competitive deck. It's just a fun deck that can spam the field. And I hope you like this deck. Take care, everybody. Have fun dueling, and good luck to everybody. I gotta get off the computer. I'm tired. Seto Kaiba out. I'm going to sleep.